Marcus Hayes, Fight Hub TV, powered by Stagefront VIP, with the one and only UCM, Mr. Eddie Hearn. Eddie, fresh from London, thank you for your time. How you doing?
I'm doing good. A little bit tired, but it was a big press conference yesterday, and it's a big run we've got now. I think we've been 3 or 4 weeks on the road now, and leading up now, of course, yesterday was December 23rd announced, and Pacheco this weekend in Los Angeles, Cameron Taylor in Dublin next week, Conlon in Belfast, Haney Prograis, December 9. Edwards against Rodriguez, December 16, and of course now the event in Saudi Arabia. So busy time.
Definitely, and I want to lead with naturally the event in Saudi Arabia. Wow, 12 promoters. How do 12 promoters get together and chairs not be flying out of the room? How'd you guys get this done? Was His Excellency that imperative to getting everything taken care of?
Absolutely. I mean, without him, it wouldn't have got done. But I think one of the things that worked well was the lack of time. Like, no one actually had time to think about the history, the rivalries. He said that. It was just, look, this is what we'd like to do. And there was opportunities for everyone. So if we would have let that history, that bad blood, the politics get involved, we would have been taking opportunities away from our fighters. We have the headline of that show, Anthony Joshua. Great opportunity for him to fight Otto Wallin. He wanted to fight 3 times this year. That enables him to do it. Dimitri Bivol returning to action. Jai Opetaia returning to action. Obviously, look, financially, it's a big deal for those guys as well. But we needed to come together quickly. Everybody did it, and I think it shows you what can happen in boxing if we kind of put that to the side. And I feel like we're going to come up for a big run in boxing where people are looking to make the big fights, and I think it's exciting times.
And that brings me to my point about the card. Such an exceptional card, star power from top to bottom. When we start breaking these bouts down, we've got AJ against Wallin. We've got Deontay Wilder against Joseph Parker. If we can just touch on those 2 bouts alone. How do you see those bouts going? And is this like a mini tournament? It kind of seems like.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've made it clear. They want AJ against Wilder. So does the world. And we will get there, I believe. But they must both win on December 23rd. For Deontay, a pretty straight up and down opponent in Joseph Parker, who's definitely got himself together and is in a good place. If he can get into the fight, I think he has a chance. He could get stopped early, as anyone can, against Deontay Wilder, but he's a good fighter and he's a great guy as well. I think Wallin's a tough fight for AJ. I think 6 weeks out against a tall, gifted southpaw who is coming off a really big win in Russia against Gassiev, who's full of confidence. AJ's got to stamp his authority on that, but if they can be victorious, then I do believe you'll see that fight in the spring.
And AJ, new coach. Coach Davison, talk to us about the switch. Have you talked to AJ about the switch? Did you talk to him beforehand?
It's more about the location. I mean, 6 weeks out, very difficult to fly to Texas, then fly to, across a couple of time zones to the Middle East. So he's been training with Ben the last 3 or 4 weeks. Obviously, Derick James has been aware of that situation. But just because of the time, he's decided to stay in the UK for this fight, because there isn't, like I said, time you adjust to the time zones, it's going to be too short a period. So comfortable to train in the UK for this fight. Obviously, Ben was part of Tyson Fury's team when he fought Otto Wallin, so he's aware of the challenge. And AJ's in a good place, excited and ready to perform December 23rd.
Will Derick James be a part of the camp at all, or the fight on fight night?
I'm not sure. I mean, look, they're definitely working together moving forward. It's not, it's not a split. It's just time zones, training at home. And for this one, this was the most kind of effective and economic way to get it done.
A couple of weeks ago, we saw Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou made a good account for himself. A lot of people clamoring for him to fight either Joshua or Wilder. How does Francis Ngannou, who's now ranked 10 by the WBC at 1-0, how does he match up against both of those guys?
Well, I think you've got to give him respect. I don't see him competing with any of those guys, but he did compete with Tyson Fury. Now, was it an off night? Is Fury not the fighter that he was? You still have to give Ngannou credit. I don't see that as a tough fight for Joshua or Deontay Wilder, but, give him his due. I thought he won the fight. So some are complaining about him entering the top 10. But if you think he beat Tyson Fury, surely it's a world-class performance. So well done to Francis Ngannou, and I hope he gets back in the ring. I think he's going to wait around, you know. I don't think he should do that, but the danger is he could fight anybody and get beat, and that would be a disaster for him, obviously.
Who would you like to see Francis Ngannou fight if you had it your way?
Well, I like the AJ fight because I just think it's a straightforward fight, but styles make fights. Someone that's aggressive, someone that has a high work rate, is going to cause him a lot of problems, because I felt he looked tired in that fight, and the pace was snail's pace. Fury was letting him breathe at all moments. You know, you go back to December 23rd. There's a really exciting fight on the card. You know, he's not my favourite cup of tea sometimes, Jerrell Miller, but that fight against Dubois is a really intriguing fight, because Dubois is a huge puncher, but if he can't put a dent in Jerrell, who has a good chin, he's the kind of guy that's going to slobber all over you, make you work. You see, Jerrell Miller is a terrible fight for Francis Ngannou, because he will make Ngannou gas after 4 or 5 rounds. So styles make fights, but you know, hopefully we can see Francis back in the ring.
On your way back from London, you rode with Deontay Wilder. I saw a picture of you guys looking mighty chummy, long way from Eddie Hearns and the comments that Deontay Wilder would make in regards to you guys. What's that relationship like on the heels of an 11-hour flight together?
Yeah, you know, the problem is in boxing, like a lot of these interviews, not with you, but you know, so-and-so said this, what have you got to say? And people see one-liners and people see clickbait and headlines, and they make their own decisions. So he would have seen interviews and gone, I don't like that guy. He's already made his mind up. And that's been how it's been for 5 or 6 years. And I've definitely said some things that I shouldn't have, but we all talk with emotion sometimes, and him vice versa. And he looks like he's chilled out, you know, a little bit. And on the plane today, it was just, look, we've been having good meetings. We think we're going to get this fight done. So good luck December 23rd. We spoke for a few minutes and had a little picture, and, you know, he posted it. And, yeah, I think I always think that I know I'm outspoken and sometimes I can rub people up the wrong way, but if you actually meet me and we talk socially, I think most people will go, well, he's all right actually. And I think that's probably what Deontay did. So, you know, if he beats Parker and AJ beats Wallin, I'm sure we'll have some choice words in the build-up. But no, it was good, and I respect him. He's a very entertaining heavyweight. I just think our guy will win, but I know that at any time he can beat any man on this planet, and he's great for the sport of boxing, great for the heavyweight division.
Do you think you learned anything about Deontay Wilder in that time that you guys getting to talk, breaking that fourth wall, so to speak, together?
Not really, just that, you know, I think he's nice guy, you know, obviously spiritual guy, deep guy, I think, sometimes. But AJ's a deep guy sometimes, you know. And he sort of said to me, I think he said, how is AJ? You know, is he up for it? You know, is he going to beat this guy? I'm like, yeah, he's fucking really up for it. Like, he wants to damage him after that press conference. So, yeah, it was good. Everybody wants that fight, so hopefully they can both win.
And AJ and Wallin experienced together. Otto Wallin kind of let it be known that we dealt together when I was a youngster. I was on the come up. I think that I'm better now, and I think that I'm ready to best AJ. We've known that AJ's had a little bit of an issue with southpaws. What do you think AJ has to do to carry tonight?
You know, when we say he's had an issue with southpaw, he had an issue with Alexander Usyk, you know, who is a pound for pound, maybe number one. But Wallin's good. You know, they've sparred rounds before. AJ beat him in the amateurs a long time ago. Yeah, but really, ideally, you don't really want to be fighting a southpaw, but you should be dealing with Otto Wallin. You know, and we have enough faith in AJ's ability to take that fight, win that fight, but it will be tricky, and he has to be aggressive in that fight, and I believe he'll stop him.
What was it like up on the stage with Jerrell Big Baby Miller? As outspoken as he is, New York was in the building, so much to say. What was it like for you being around him?
Yeah, we had a few words as well, like before the head-to-head. He sort of, like, you know, I've always liked Jerrell. Like, I think he's a great character, but what happened, I've always struggled to forgive him for. And you know, he said to me on the stage, you know, why didn't you back me like you backed Dillian Whyte? And you know, for me, it was a different situation. I knew the fighters differently, but for everything that I saw when that fight got cancelled, I didn't like what I saw and I read. And you have to understand that AJ is a very good friend of mine, and in my opinion, Jerrell Miller was trying to get an illegal and unfair edge to beat him. And if you want to talk all that talk, but do that to try and get it, just didn't sit right with me. People can make mistakes, and I wish that he would have put his hands up and gone, I messed up. But he hasn't really even done that, you know. But I'm not looking to fall out of him over it. It's done. It's history. And, you know, he said to me yesterday, come over, he's like, you know, I can't remember what he said. Oh, you scared of me? I said, no, not really. At the end of the day, I just don't like what you did. Don't mean we can't get over it, but don't expect people. I felt, you know, if I was AJ yesterday, I would have brought it up when he went at him. But he did. He chose not to. But there's definitely a little bit of beat. Listen, if he beats Daniel Dubois, who knows in the future? But really, he had that opportunity. And he chose to approach the fight in a way that, for me, wasn't the right thing to do. And I think in everybody's opinion, wasn't the right thing to do. But it's history, and we move on.
And I wanted to touch on that before I let you go, Eddie. I know it's been a long day for you. We don't want to keep you too much longer. But the Jerrell Miller, AJ storyline is just such a juicy one. And you can see where it looked like AJ was irritated as soon as Jerrell Miller started on the microphone.
He wants to smash him up. You know, I mean, don't forget the beef that we had with them two in New York. Then the round table, which actually you haven't seen yet, but I'm sure it will get released one day soon. Like, there is history there. And again, we know why the fight didn't happen. And, you know, there's a lot of people from our side that aren't happy with what he did. So the fight's never come back round because I felt like he didn't deserve it. But, as I said, sometimes time is a good healer. And if he can beat Daniel Dubois, I'm sure he'll scream and shout in that ring and say, I want AJ now. And commercially, that fight becomes big. So good luck to Jerrell. Like I said, I don't have dislike for him or hatred. I don't appreciate and like what I saw. But, you know, good luck. It's a great fight. He'll either get stopped or he'll stop Daniel Dubois. If he gets stopped, that's the end of Jerrell Miller. If he stops Daniel Dubois, he's right back in the mix. So we shall see December 23rd.
Is this the new Mecca of boxing?
Yeah, look, the vision's incredible, you know, and what I like, and you hear those two words, His Excellency, spoken a lot now by boxing promoters, and they're all very respectful of him, not just because of the opportunities that are presented to us, but because of his vision in boxing. When you sit down with this guy, he is a genuine boxing fan. You know, he has big plans, obviously, for Saudi Arabia, but he also has big plans for boxing. Now, it's not always that easy. Obviously, when you have big financial support and backing, it becomes easier. But things have to come together. Fights have to come together. People have to work with each other. And at the moment, it's showing tremendous signs. You know, Fury and Ngannou was good fun. But December 23, card of the year. February now, 17th, Usyk against Fury. Tremendous fight, undisputed championship. Potentially Joshua against Wilder. And much more. So at the moment, you have to ride the wave and support people that are trying to grow the sport. We all want to grow the sport of boxing. We all want the best opportunities for our fighters, and we want to make as much money as possible. There's no point beating around the bush. And, you know, I like what I see at the moment, which is an exciting vision for the sport.
And with that being the vision for the sport and putting the sport first, you and Frank Warren sitting together, what was that like? I understand that was actually your first time actually meeting Frank Warren. What was that like?
Quite mad, really, when you think that, I mean, look, I always back us as the biggest promotional company in the world, but we're definitely the two biggest in the UK. And we've never met. You know, I mean, I've been promoting for 14 years. I've done business with George, his son, who's a good operator, and he's been very, very instrumental in making all this happen. But George was kind of the one who sort of said, look, you two need to have a meet. and clear the air, you know. And he was like the dad in this situation, you know, with two sons. And yeah, it was just like a shake of the hands and look, everything that's been said, almost like a let's not mess this up for ourselves, for the sport, for our fighters. There'll always be the rivalry, and I think that's good for fight fans, because I want to beat him, not just beat him. I want to beat everybody. So I want to put on the best shows. I want to give the most and best value for money that I can. But when something like this comes together, it was too big an opportunity for everyone not to kind of down tools and just say forget that, because His Excellency and fight fans, they don't really care about the rivalry and the history. They just want great fights. So his instruction was almost like, guys, like, stop it. Let's make it happen. And that's what we did.
If you can give us a little bit of a glimpse, Eddie, what is His Excellency's vision for the fight game? So many people here in the States clamoring about what's going on in Saudi Arabia. What did you glean from your conversations with him?
Just a love of the sport to make the best fights, you know, big events, and also a vision on production, content. You know, it's yeah. There's a few meetings that I've sat in recently and just gone and been shown stuff and just gone, wow, you know. And I love. Listen, I want to see our business, Matchroom, grow globally as quickly as possible and as big as possible. But I'm also seeing some opportunities for the sport, and with or without Matchroom's involvement, it's exciting. You know, I want to be a part of that, obviously, but I would love to see boxing reach the heights and the popularity that I know it can, because I really believe it's the greatest sport in the world. So whoever does it, great. If I can be a part of that journey as well, even better. But like I said, our job just to make sure that we deliver for our fighters.
Eddie, the vision of boxing, I'm glad to be sitting with you, because I really want to know, what is the vision of boxing in Eddie Hearn's eyes? If we said 20 years down the line, what does boxing look like? Are there promoters? Are there sanctioning bodies? What do you see boxing as?
That's a good question. I think, you know, I see multiple promoters. I think there'll always be someone who believes that they can wrap up boxing. You know, let's bring the promoters together. Let's buy the promotional companies and merge them into one. Let's get one belt. But, you know, if you look at the world of mixed martial arts, and UFC for me is a great, you know, and Dana, you know, those guys are almost like role models to us, where the structure of their business and the you know, the identity of their corporate brand is exactly where we want to be in boxing. But if you look at MMA, it's not just the UFC. You know, it's not like, you don't have to be the only one. You just have to be the big dominant one, and that's what UFC are. You still got Bellator, you still got Cage Warriors, you still got PFL, and I think that will always exist in boxing. You can't just buy everybody or just, you know, bring everybody together, because someone else will start, someone else will have a vision. And that's where, you know, you talk about inflated purses, which is something that's definitely happened. You know, we were one of the causes of that, because when DAZN came in, they had to make statements and they had to overpay fighters because they had this new product that no one knew a lot about. Now they're, I believe, the market leader. So there'll always be people popping up and looking to be aggressive in the space, because it's a very sexy, very fun world, the boxing world. It's not always the greatest business model, but it's entertaining and people always want to be involved with it. So the future of boxing for me would just look like making, I know if great fights are made, we're good. Like, the product is good enough, it always will work. But it's overpaying fighters for fights that don't have that commercial value. That's the danger. And if we can avoid that, I think we're in a good space.